Hi there, Marcus here, and today I want to answer a question for you that I get asked a lot, which is what is visual thinking? It's a massive part of the way we work here at Work Visible Studios, and this is why we use it and what it really is in a nutshell, the way I like to think about it. So to me, visual thinking is all really about one thing at its core. It's about being able to take something that's quite intangible, things that are in people's heads, for example, ideas, taking something that's intangible, something that's abstract. It's about being able to take that and through the process of visualizing it, creating a simple visual in some way, be able to take that and put it into the real world. So you're taking something from the abstract over here and visualizing it to make it tangible. So that to me, in a nutshell, regardless of what visual thinking method you're using, that's what it's about at its core. So why should we do this? Why is this a really powerful thing to do? One of the first things is that it has a great, massive impact on our ability to process and understand information. So when we've got something we're trying to learn, or we've got an idea and we're trying to get to grips with it, or a problem we're trying to understand, oftentimes our thinking is quite messy. Everything is kind of overlapping like this. Is really difficult to sort of make sense of, and it's really hard to try and communicate this to people as well. Oftentimes we'd say way too much or not enough. It's hard to know what actually matters out of this big jumble of ideas. But when you go through this process of visualizing, it actually forces you to look at all of this kind of mess and break it down into its individual parts. So it forces you to break it down and then actually reassemble it in a way that makes sense. And what we find happens when you do this is it lets you understand your own thinking more, and also helps you to learn more effectively. We kind of like to compare it to if you've got, a really sort of cloudy sky, which is often the case here in Scotland where we are, and you go through this process of visualizing. It's like the clouds start to part, and you can see the sky and the sun behind. So it really helps you to create clarity. Going through this process of visualizing helps you to understand your own thinking more. So the other thing that happens when you use visual thinking is it really amplifies your ability to communicate effectively. And this is a big problem that we run into a lot, and it's probably familiar to you. So oftentimes we'll get called in to work with people because they're experiencing this situation. You've got somebody over here and they are trying to explain something. It could even be something very simple. Let's just use a square here to represent that. And they think they're being super clear, yet everyone else has a completely different idea in their head. And this causes loads of problems, as you can imagine. And it's really difficult for people even to know that this takes place. And it's hard for these people here to even ask questions about it, because oftentimes there is so much confusion around what's being said. But if you're able to go from this and actually show people what you are trying to say, it makes it much more difficult for this situation to happen. It makes it much easier for everyone to have the same idea in their head. And what's also great about this is, let's say somebody is still confused. Let's say this person, over here, they're still a bit confused about what's going on. They can literally point to it and ask, tell me a little bit more about that bit over there, and get some clarity around it, versus just having this general fuzzy idea in their head. So it really helps to keep everybody on the same page. So it's great for communicating with these simple visuals and going through that visualization process. And to me, the third key area where this is really valuable is when it comes to collaboration. So when you are collaborating with people and you visualize, what it allows you to do is it lets you to see the big picture. So let's say, you're trying to figure out how to get from A to B. Rather than just having that as a concept in your head, you can actually see this and see where you fit into the scene. And not only that, but this gives you this kind of different perspective on things. So rather than being in the scene, you get to see it from this different vantage point. And this lets you spot loads of things that you wouldn't see otherwise. You get to see where the potential challenges and problems are. It lets you generate more ideas on how to deal with your problems. And it allows you to see connections, see ways to close the gap that you wouldn't be able to see otherwise. So having these visuals really helps to keep everyone focused, engaged, see the big picture, and gain an extra layer of clarity, spot things that you wouldn't be able to do. So it's a fantastic tool to use whenever you are collaborating as well. So that's just a quick rundown on why we use visual thinking as a tool when we're facilitating, when we're working. It's a fantastic one. I highly recommend that you give it a shot. Grab a pen, do some simple drawings. The quality does not matter. What matters is going through this process of taking something from an abstract idea to something tangible. That's where the magic happens. That's it from me. Cheers.